Hello there and welcome back. So last night I performed for the first time in my life with a modular system. I've been invited by the New York Modular Society and the Physical Synthesis to perform along with other great artists. So I thought that was interesting to do a rundown of what I use, what I learn, what I have to get better at, and how I enjoy the entire situation. Spoiler alert, it was a very fun night. I really loved what happened. I screwed up badly a few things, but I actually improvised after that, and the best part of the set come when I started improvising. So as usual, as long as you go with the flow and have a conversation with your instrument, things will always be fine. So not only the modular was first time I used it live, but I also used the OXI, that is this amazing sequencer that really works wonder with the modular system. And then I had the out of the modular going into the Nightsky. Even this one, I got it 3 days ago, and I like it, and I wanted to try it, and I said, let's just risk it. And at the end of the chain, I have my trusty auto Boum, whatever you want to call it. I think this guy is really great for live situation. First, because you can play with the level. Second, you have a cool filter, and then you can add some drive and a compressor. So it's great to put everything together, to have some control over your signal, and make it compress a little so it works nice with other, if you play after DJs or whatever, with this one, you get a nicer tone. That said, before going into all the description and what I did, if you want to support me, please subscribe or become a Patreon or buy from the link down below. That's perfect circuit, and they will give me a little percentage to keep the channel afloat. Okay, so let's first talk about how I structured the entire performance. So I have 3 voices plus the morphaging. One is the Odessa, one other is the ring, and one other is the basimilus. So I wanted to give them a third of the showcase. So I started with the Odessa, then I moved to the ring, and then basimilus, and then at the end I bring everything together. Morphaging play few sample, actually 3 sample. We can go to that. This is the closing one. It's a piano I recorded from a radio, so I have no clue. Then I have this sound that it's at the start of the performance. And then I have another field recording. So, and then the Odessa, it's a particular, very interesting, it's a variable spectrum harmonic oscillator, harmonic cluster, whatever they call it. It's very interesting. Odessa go inside the ripples, so it's the only one that has a filter. The rings is a physical modeling, and the basimilus, it's a weird one. I don't even know. It's a wave folder. It's crazy. All the sequences are done into the OXI. I will show you later. This sound, let's talk about effect. Odessa go from here into the Tangle Quartet. The Zadar do the ADSR. From the Tangle Quartet with 1 cable, I go inside ripples. And from ripples, I go into Data Bender that has been really instrumental for the show. I love this guy. And then into the Befaco mixer. The rings go into the mimeophone and then into the mixer. And the basimilus goes straight in the mixer. That said, the mixer out before going to the Strymon out to the Nightsky is go into the emitter version that is loaded with the Desmodus version firmware. It's a sort of granular delay, granular reverb, whatever. And then the Desmodus version that is a reverb. I think the clock is given by the Pamela. I think mostly that's it. There's the oct for some LFO, and the OXI communicate with the modular with just, it's very clever. So it has this pipe, basically it's just a sort of, it's a mini or micro HDMI into this module that they do, and you have 8 CV and 8 gates. I'll show you how I set up all the sequences. So then again, Strymon, that it's always on. I love the fact that I can play with both the dry and reverb signal. So basically it can work in parallel, so it fit nice on the end of the chain. And then the auto, that it's always on, and I barely touched it, just some filtering and some drive at certain moment. This one cover all the thing. The OXI, let's see what happened here, and then we just play and I'll show what was. Okay, OXI is a sequencer, and it has 4 different sequencers. I will do an in-depth review, so this is the first time I talk about it, and it's can be very complex, can do a lot of stuff. It can work via USB, and it do wonder with Ableton. It can work via CV. It has all the CV out here, but if you want to avoid to have a lot of cable, you just use the pipe. So it's all super clean. And then it works like with MIDI. Another things, it can work with this grid with Norns, and that's incredible. So you don't have to buy the Norn grid that basically costs as much as this entire thing. So it's think about it if you like Norns. So it has 4 sequencers. While it might seem so just 4, they work in a particular way. Each one can be set up for different uses. It can be mono, so basically it has it's a mono sequencer until 64 step. It has a 3 condition. It has everything you can think about in a sequencer. It has it. Plus he has a lot of interesting way of randomizing, and the guy are still working on cleaning up the UI. It just went in production, so I got, they sent it to me to test. Thank you, OXI Instrument. And they are refining it, so it's gonna be available soon to buy. So one is the mono, the other kind, it's, and I can show you, you press shift, and here you can change everything. I cannot do it here because otherwise it will screw up my setup. But mono, poly, I think 8 voice of polyphony. Then chords is a great function. I will do a tutorial and a demo about that. So basically it has a series of ways you can put chord tied to a certain key, and you have a lot of inversion, and it's super easy to do. I score 3 commercial stuff the last week just using the chord thing. It was so fun to use. And then it has the last mode that is called, I forgot that name. Let me load an empty project, so because I don't want to ruin. Here we are. So multi, I don't know. Basically, what it does, each row, it's a different sequencer. It can send to a different MIDI channel or a different CV channel. So it works mostly like my Octatrack sequencer, in which, for example, you put trig, and then holding the trig, you can select the note. And basically, so you have 8 tracks here. If you set mult for all the sequencer, basically is 8 channel for time, so it's 32. You understand that you have a lot of more potentiality. Instead, when it's this would be the mono, and it works similar to, I have the deluge, so it's very similar to the deluge. You just, each row is a note. So this is C, da 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 da, and you can quantize on the channel. This case is minor, C2, and blah blah blah. So this is just to give you an overview. Then there's so much more things going on, but let's just talk about what I did yesterday. So I'm loading the project. Here we are. So the first things that I had an idea to do, since I had to tune all my 3 voices, I create some sequences with just a single note. How the OXI work. I hope I pronounce right, OXI. So for each project you have 16 slots for each track, and they are not linear. So for example, I can play these are all colored, are the pattern I save. So, and this is sending to CV1, CV2, CV3, and CV4. So I can send, I can load this pattern, and this other, and this other. It's not that loading one slot will load all the 4 sequences. They're independent. And I feel that at the beginning I was a little confused about that, but it's actually extremely powerful, because how I set up the performance in a sort of linear way this time, where this is how I start, and so I would change pattern. Then when I'm here, I will turn on the pattern on CV1, and then so on. Here is my CV, is a chord actually I'm using here, chord mode, and then I da-da-da. So the more I go forward, the more I know which pattern I have to trigger. So that was super easy and super great while doing a performance. And I put at the end of it 4 pattern with just one note to tune. So when I play, so first also I have to set the clock by Pamela. And here we are. Now we are going. Okay. So now if I turn in, this would be CV1. From here, it goes to rings. Then I have channel 2 of my mixer is the Odessa. And then 3 is the Basimilus. And then 4, it's 4 is still going in this because it's still Odessa. I didn't have to tune because I'm actually tuning the fundamental. Okay, so that's how I started, and that is where the first problem came out at my first performance, because I didn't think about having an external mixer. So with my system right now, I go out with 2 cables, but I don't have any way to monitor what happened with the headphones. So I thought there was a mixer available there. There wasn't. So the part of tuning, I had to insert my headphone here, and it was bad. I couldn't really hear too much. But instead of getting nervous, I decided I will go with the flow and I will see what happened, and I will just have fun. And that worked out really nice. Anyway, so first thing that I want to change is having a mixer, probably the WMD I will get, that has the cue for the headphones that will allow me to have a more control of what happened. Anyway, that was the first thing. The second things I had to load as a DAR, I create a specific set of ADSR. And if you play now, here we are now as a snappy attack. And then load my first sample. And that's about it. Then I'm loading all the different sequences, and I'm ready to go. So just to run down, I have these effect going on. Oh, interesting. Why am I... There's something wrong in my morphaging. Wow. It doesn't change the pitch. Now it does. Ah, of course, because I was... Silly me. I was in the... Alright. Let's reload. I was in the real mode. Alright. So this was the beginning. Then I have some reverb going on with this LFO going on. It creates this evolving, interesting waviness. And then I would start bringing in the Odessa. Oh. From here, I would start playing with the data bender. To create more interesting stuff. And right now I only have two notes going on. Then it's just a matter of starting moving the different sequences. And this was the part where I had fun. I just had to play with the sound, with the effects. And mostly I love to play with effects. So it was just taking my time and bring this in sometime, changing the pitch. And then keep moving when I feel it's the right time. At the moment I would bring in the emitter to add more shimmery quality, and the Desmodus. This is the Melotus actually. I could filter out the high end if I want, and then keep going. I liked it to have a moment with a lot of effect washes, and then go back to moment where just the Odessa and the data bender would work. I love data bender. As you can hear, it had, this would be without. It had this layer of craziness, glitchiness that I really enjoy. And I enjoy playing with my hand and not having CV. And then I would move to the last of this pattern. So I know it's time now to bring in the second voice, the ring. So what happened already? I screwed up the tuning. So what happened yesterday is exactly this. It was very dark and I touched one knob for error and I lost the tuning. And then I was like, what am I gonna do now? Whatever, I just improvised. I didn't let my mind to take over, and it was fine. Because anyway, I have the chance to add effects, fade the thing in and out. Let's tune it to again because I want to. modular. Let's hope now it stays. Okay, so this is the first thing I learned about modular. There's so many things that you can touch for an error, so you need to be really mindful and careful on what you're doing. And anyway, this is the second sequence, the second part of the performance where rings come in. Rings is to the mimeophone, clocked by Pamela, of course. I like the Melotus to be with a filter to feel the lower end. I had some LFO sometimes going on to create this glitchy up and down. And then I end up with this chord progression. And from here, as you can see, it's time to bring in the other voices. So here I had to change my CV routing. More to come in a follow-up video. And now bring it in. Of course, with the right time. And from here, keep performing with the last piece of it. Basimilus has this very harsh tone, and I thought it was good for the ending of the piece. Okay, what's happening here? There's not. All right. Then I have on the Odessa, this time is used as a polyphonic instrument, because with the HEL, this small device here, you can have 5-note polyphony. So right now you hear the tonic and the two even and odd partial. And I created this sort of ominous tone. Until I got to a point where I bring back everything. And this is the time where I load my sample that end everything. And here we are. And I felt to have this more hopeful ending with this piano and the rings going on. And from here, add only the reverb, kill the dry, and that's it. So, I understand now. I give you a full rundown, might not make a lot of sense, but I really find all this process easy because with the progression of the sequencer here was really easy for me to understand what point am I. And of course I used a lot of effects, and it was a beautiful system, and it was a very very nice sound, and it worked out really nice. Again, the two things that I learned is like a mixer. I feel it's really important, a way to monitor yourself. I couldn't monitor. I had to really rely on, you know, the instant decision. And the other things, I really need to be careful next time with the tuning. I really wish that modular stuff has a switch that, how to say, deactivate the tuning, because I am messy, and you know, these things can be very dangerous for a performance. The silver lining though is like I was really surprised by the way I react to that very calmly and find a way to enjoy. So what happened actually, the Basimilus was completely out of tune, so I start using as a drum, whatever you want to call it. And I went with this kind of sound. And I started adding more note to here we are. So basically, even if I thought not to have any drum, I bring in as a rhythmic device, and it really worked out. With a big system, it was like super powerful and super fun. Okay, so I will definitely come back on the OXI just to show how it works by itself and show all the way you can do sequences. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope this was useful for anybody of you that want to start performing with this. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, and ciao.